What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FlashPicks Best Bet show. We have a special guest on today's episode, Mr. Joe Dellera with the Action Network. Uh, Biggest LeBron fan I think I know also as well. But pleasure to have you on back on the show. How have you been? How are you?
Dude, we're doing all right. So, the playoffs are getting spicy. We got one game a day, so it's kind of nice to get to watch a little bit more, watch a little bit more film, which you don't really get to do. Like I watch some Knicks stuff during the regular season, but you can't really do that in the playoffs. Or you can do that in the playoffs. You can't do it in the regular season.
Yeah, it seems like when the playoffs happen, teams are playing each other. The adjustments that they make, I think it makes it a little easier. Not easier. It makes it easier from a betting perspective, just because I think you can kind of, I don't want to say guess the adjustments, but it's right in front of your face. You
Yeah.
can see what worked, see what didn't work, assume that they're going to try and do the same things of what worked and stray away from what didn't work. What are your thoughts on the game one of Lakers Nuggets? I know the Nuggets won by 6. We're blowing out the Lakers early. Lakers fought back to keep it close. What are your thoughts? If you're a Nuggets fan, how do you think the game went? If you're a Lakers fan, how do you think the game went?
I mean, I think it's one of those, right? Like if Denver lost that game, that would have been devastating because of the lead that they had. So, at the end of the day, these are binary results. You want to get that win. I think that matters in a series that's, only 7 games, it's not a regular season type of situation where you can say like, oh, well, like we learned something. So even though the Lakers, I think, learned something, right? Like, and they did a couple adjustments, like putting Rui on Jokic, whatever. There's so many more layers and counters to that. So I think that you have to feel encouraged that you're the Lakers, that you were able to, keep it close and like make it that close of a game at the end, because Denver does this a little bit where they kind of give opponents an opportunity to kind of get back sometimes.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, Denver still got that win, which was critically important.
Yeah, I think it's exactly right. It's kind of like, you could say you learned something all you want until you're out of the playoffs,
Yeah.
and then you're kind of done. I will say both teams shot very well from deep. I think in the fourth they were both 50%, trickled down to 45 and 46%, basically 46, 47% from deep for the entire game. I don't think that that's sustainable. In my opinion, I know there were some open looks, but Jokic hit that one just step back moonshot. There are a couple other ones that are just pretty deep. I think they just went in. I don't think Austin Reeves shoots 5 for 9 from deep again as well. Where do you see this game going in comparison to game one? Do you think that there's just a bunch of more 3-point launches? Do you think it's a slower pace game? How do you think it's going to work in game two?
I mean, it's funny you say that about the pace, right? Because the pace in game one, like both these teams had offensive ratings above 130 in game one. The pace was 97. Pace is like relatively slow, right?
Yeah.
So I think that with the way the adjustments are kind of working, and what we see this in the playoffs as the series go on, right? The pace generally slows. Teams take longer to get into their offensive sets, and like it's harder to find like those specific matchups that you want to exploit. And the thing that I noticed, especially at the end of last game, was basically that was really focusing in on Jamal Murray, and he wanted to take him take him to court like every time, like
I didn't get
one-on-one.
that. Could you try again?
But I think that the pace is slower,
Yeah.
and I think if especially if Jokic just has to operate as a facilitator out of the post, then it's going to take a little bit longer for Denver to get into their offensive sets, and you can't expect that type of shooting again.
Yeah, it seems like they play slow. And like, if you're not the Nuggets don't really want to run and gun. Like they're gonna take advantage of run and gun if possible. Bruce Brown was super explosive in the first game, and Jamal Murray's gonna push the tempo as well. But the Nuggets thrive when it's a set piece. They slow the game down. Jokic catches the ball in the elbow. They run their little back screens or whatever they want to do, crash the board, and Jokic kind of figures out a way to go. I think the Lakers as well. LeBron with that foot, he's still figuring out if he needs surgery or not. They'll run and gun if they need to, but they also want to let AD catch the ball on the elbow. It kind of works similarly. If they don't shoot 45% from three, which I don't think they will, I really like the under in game two, with matchups, especially teams trying to figure each other out. I think, as you say, the game progresses, series goes longer. especially in the fourth quarter, you get just much longer possessions.
Yeah. And I think you're spot on with that. And the game total is up a couple points from last game, right? Like obviously, but it's not up that much because I think that they know like you can't change how you have this like power rated that much from like a game to game basis. Like we've seen this in other series where they don't move the total down fast enough, right? So
Yeah.
here it's like an over adjustment the other way where you're looking at two teams that like obviously Denver's offense is incredible. Lakers defense is good. And then the Lakers have a lot of question marks offensively, right? Like LeBron still doesn't look right. Like he hasn't looked right since he's come back from that foot injury. There's like flashes every now and then where you're like, oh, that's Bron. But then it's like, is he saving it? What's he doing? And a lot of that's not coming from like him shooting. It's coming from him like going full back dive into the paint.
Yeah.
So and like that slows the game down a bit. So I think you're right. And I like the under 227.
Yeah, I think we're gonna build some. We already pre-built some SGPs before the show, based on angles that we like. So we're gonna get right into that. We have a Bet 365 SGP, which obviously bet $1 on anything, get $200 guaranteed. Best new customer special out there. Check the link in the description if you guys want to do that as well. But we have a Bet 365 SGP, and obviously for those who don't live in states where Bet 365 is legal, or I guess where they have a license, we do have a FanDuel one as well. So we'll do that at the end. Let's just dive into it. Here's the Bet 365 SGP. We talked about the under. We'll bump it up a couple points just to be a little safer. But one thing that alt under is good for, and I like to do this in football a lot as well, is when you get guys like over threes or points or assists, and then you throw an alternate underneath, the odds just skyrocket because they're not correlated.
Yeah.
And that's something that I use. And I think if in an under like this, I think it's perfect. This is not going to be one of those where you see, 5+3s moonshots from us today. It's a very, I guess I want to say analytical approach that we took. And we're going to get through each step. So alternate under 230.5. Michael Porter Jr. over 6.5 rebounds. This is more of Joe's look. So if you want to dive into that a little bit and why you love his rebounds so much,
yeah,
get right after it.
Yeah, so I mean, part of why I like this, right, is in 3 games against the Lakers this season, he's gone over this. He just had 10 in game 1, and he's averaging 7.8 rebounds per game in the playoffs with 5 games of 10 or more. So I think you could sprinkle that double too. Like if you want, you can get that around like plus 550, depending, like line chop it, But part of why I like this too is that a big issue the Lakers were running into at the end of the game was, and there was a lot of talk about Rui being on Jokic. The bigger issue was honestly that Aaron Gordon was just sitting in the dunker spot on offense. So that was kind of creating a spacing issue, right? So Gordon, on defense, he's covering LeBron. LeBron's been doing a lot of off-ball patrolling, basically on the perimeter, trying to set guys up, being used as like a tactical slasher.
Yeah,
so you're kind of
safety.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're taking Aaron Gordon away defensively, and then on offense, the problem was his spacing. Like he just wasn't in a good spot. I think that they're going to really use him more on the perimeter as a screener and as a dishing guy. And, even at the very end of the game, we saw him set a really important screen for KCP to hit a dagger 3 for Denver to kind of pull away a little bit, like with under a minute left. And I think that that's kind of the Aaron Gordon you're going to see today. So I think that sets up MPJ a little bit more.
Yeah, I like it. I also like his mismatch. I saw Austin Reeves was guarding Porter Jr. for a while. If he's going to have – I saw he had 3 offensive rebounds yesterday. The Nuggets took a lot of threes. They made a lot of threes, but those long rebounds, you got a smaller guy on you. Michael Porter Jr. is – I always forget how big he is until I'm watching the game.
Yeah.
He's massive.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then KCP over 1.5 threes. He took the second most shots on the team yesterday or he tied with Jokic, 17 field goals, 8 threes attempted, made 3 of them. I'm not saying he shoots 17 field goals again, but I think spacing wise, he's always going to be an option for Jokic to dish it out. Or he's kind of got a little bit of I won't say chip on his shoulder from being on this Lakers squad and talking that trash to LeBron earlier in the year. I feel like he's got a little bit more pep in his step this series.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, he's over this in 57% of home games this season. And the big thing I like too is that he was 3 for 6. So all of his threes came in the second half, which is where the Lakers started making more defensive adjustments. So I think that because those seem to work, you should expect to see them again, right? So I do like that they were not only were they using Gordon as a little bit more of a screener, but then the defensive adjustments from the Lakers were kind of leaving KCP open. They're like, we'll just deal with this.
Yeah.
And so I think that he's got a good opportunity, and the floor is good. It's only 2.
I think that's the good mindset. The Lakers will live if KCP has 30 points. Like
Yeah.
you can't do anything about that, but you're not going to let Jokic and Murray get 35 apiece. Like that's what you have to try to stop. You'll live with KCP, catching fire a little bit if you want, because you'd rather like that's not as sustainable as Jokic and Murray dropping 35 a night.
Exactly.
So yeah, love that spot. And then we also have LeBron under 2.5 threes. This is the reason why we had to do this on 365, because DraftKings and FanDuel, we couldn't do under 2.5 threes at all.
They don't want to give that. They don't want that smoke on.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just not shooting as many threes. Over 4 first game. One of the last threes was the end of the game heave, which didn't really count. Even if he made that, he still would have only had 1. We'll take under 2.5 threes for a guy who's taken 4 in game 1. If he goes 3 for 4, I'll take the L. But
yeah, I mean, he's only hitting this in like 30% of games. It's just one of those spots, right, where we're seeing the volume decrease. It's not really what he's trying to do. Gordon's a good perimeter defender. Like, he's not going to get space on Gordon the way that he would like otherwise. Like, so it's mostly switching and trying to force Jamal Murray to be in the action, right? So you're not going to, if you have that size mismatch, you're not going to shoot a 3 over Jamal Murray. You're going to put your head down and get to the basket. And on Aaron Gordon, you're just getting no space because he's glued to LeBron right now on the perimeter.
Yeah, exactly. I love this spot. Even if LeBron is too early, I think we can still hit this. We'll be in this position the whole game, I think. And the last leg is Jokic triple-double. He had, I don't even know what his stat line was. At halftime, it felt like it was 40, 40, and 40. But he had 34, 14, and 21. His rebound line is through the roof. You're basically getting a 10+ assists here, and his assist line, I think, is 10.5 or 11.5 or something.
10.5.
So if he gets to 10 assists, he's probably going to have a triple-double. I think his rebounds are going to be fine, and his points are going to be fine. And that gives you plus 1,600 with the boost on Bet365, 30% boost. You get plus 2080. And that's a nice little solid bet. I'll run through it again real quick. Alternate under 230.5. MPJ over 6.5 boards. KCP over 1.5 threes, LBJ under 2.5 threes, and a Jokic triple-double to top it all off. Now, I will get into the FanDuel one, and we'll run through this really quick. It's basically the same bet with a couple little kinks, just because you couldn't get the LeBron under. But the FanDuel SGP is AD 2+ blocks. He's going to have all day in the paint there. I think 2+ is fairly doable. I don't know how much he had in game 1. He had 2 blocks in game 1, 3 steals as well. I think 2+ blocks is like minus 210. I think he gets it fairly easily. I think he may have 3+ today.
Yeah.
And then MPJ over 6.5 boards we talked about. Jokic 10 assists. So not the triple-double, but same angle like we just talked about with the triple-double. It's probably going to rely on the 10+ assists. KCP 2+ threes. And the last leg is Jamal Murray under 6.5 assists. Love that spot. I think the line is actually 5.5 now. We bumped the alternate under the 6.5. And you get plus 1136 on FanDuel. Joe, are these both cashing? I think they are.
I don't see why not. I mean, like every play that you just gave out just sounded free to me. So, I mean, like, just put them all together. Not that we count variance or anything, but, for the math people. But, I mean, look, it sounds fun. And it's a nice way. Like, if you're not really sure, I think one way to do this, especially these same game parlays, I think you do this too. It's like, think about the narrative. Like, how is this game going to go? And then construct something that falls into that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, you could watch this back. We're going to post these on Twitter as well for you guys to get just for some extra action. But like, comment, and subscribe. Go give Joe a follow at Joe Dellera on Twitter. Again, I'm going to post it with him, so you'll see him there as well. Post great basketball content and great content overall. But basketball, I would say, is his bread and butter. Yeah, absolutely. All-time good guy, huge biceps, huge calves. So we're going to need some more Suns Out, Guns Out on the grill videos, but we'll see what he likes. But
we're going to have to.
He's got to go. I got to go. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate all the love and support. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. Best of luck in your bets today. See you guys next time. Peace.